What do you hope someone like me takes from all this?
That the solution to our country's problems is, it would look more like racism is a huge problem. It really is. Like, whether we want to say we're past it or not, we're just clearly not. And if you go into South Central LA or South Side of Chicago or West Side of Chicago, you see that it's white people do not even go there, let alone help them. We're not want to do anything with them except like put them in a cage and like separate ourselves from them. And the solution to all that is going to be pumping a lot of time, effort, and money, especially, into them to help. And it's like, I don't know, that's such a huge ask that I don't even know if it's possible.
Yeah, because I've had that experience where, there's kind of an addictive quality. Maybe it's me, the artist or writer. It's like it becomes like a level of material, and of course I have my own personal.
You like the darkness of it?
No, I'm actually not that interested in the darkness. I live the darkness. Somebody once asked me if I'd seen some Nirvana documentary or something, and I said no, I didn't watch it. And they said, "Don't you want to watch it?" And I said, "But I lived it." You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think what I take from the videos is more, and maybe it's my own. My father passed away a couple years ago, and he was, a sociopathic drug addict. Just because he was clean at different times doesn't mean he stopped being that guy. And maybe it's a sort of internal struggle with trying to kind of understand the sociopathic mind, so I find myself sort of looking for the tells, trying to understand why somebody who has every advantage, when you have people on who are like, mom's a sex worker, dad's a pimp, and all this stuff, you think, oh my God, this is all they know. But then you have somebody else on, it's like, no, my parents are great. I had everything. And I just tried to immolate myself, in slow motion for years.
There's both.
Right?
You see both.
Right. So what I'm saying is I find myself sort of fascinated with why somebody wants to light themselves on fire. And I had a therapist once. It was some sort of psychological device, and the rough version is there are people who light themselves on fire and
figuratively
inadvertently hurt others through the intensity of the flame. And there are other people who light you on fire to avoid lighting themselves on fire. And there's a third version of it, and I thought that was my father. He was more than happy to light me on fire.
Really?
Oh yeah.
And where was your mom?
My mom. Now you're interviewing me. My mom was committed to an insane asylum when I was 4.
Oh wow.
And I never lived with her again. Had a complete psychotic break, and when she came out, she was a totally different person. I don't know what happened to her.
How'd you come out so good?
People would argue I didn't. You know what I mean? In fact, I would say most of the.
What's your worst quality?
My worst quality?
Because you have a lot of great ones.
Now you're putting me on the spot.
We'll save it for next time.
Yeah, I'll answer your question though, because I don't mind. What's my worst quality?
What's your weakest? What's your biggest weakness?
Needing to belong.
Yeah, but that's all of us. That's
okay. But I have a heightened sense of it, and by the way, I can create whatever reality I want.
Do you think that all the darkness, all the trauma or obstacles that you went through as a kid are what created this intense ability to focus and create?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I do too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's where it comes from.
My daddy used to say
pain creates.
Oh yeah. My daddy used to say it's good you had a hard life because it made you a great rock star.
Yeah.
And I told him he was wrong. I mean, he was right in form, because here I am. Thank you very much. But we'll never know who I could have been.
Yeah.
Because if you take someone who has a gift, and in my case I have a gift, say, for melody, well, maybe if I wasn't abused, I'd be writing, for the Berlin Symphony and not for disaffected goth girls in their basement. That's the that's the heartache of anybody who comes from a hard circumstance.
Yeah, but
It's
I don't
like,
get the feeling you walk around with a chip on your shoulder because of what you went through.
not anymore.
You did?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was very
I
angry.
mean, it's like for me, like my mom loved me in a way that was just like, you couldn't, like it was perfect. It's just perfect. It was it was probably the best thing that has ever or will ever.
Are your parents still alive?
My dad is. He's 95.
What does he think about what you're doing? I'm sorry to interrupt
He
you,
doesn't
but
even he doesn't even know. He doesn't even care. He just cares if I'm making money with it. And I tell him, yeah, I'm making a shit ton. Don't worry about it.
yeah.
And that's all he cares about. He's not really tuned into the subtlety or the
Okay.
inner workings of it all. He's just kind of like, you doing fine? You're okay? Good.
Do other family,
My
like
sister,
blood family, have any opinion?
I have a very small family. I just have a sister, and now I have like like a nephew, but and a brother-in-law. But they like what I'm doing. They support it, but they don't watch. They're not watching all the time. I have more friends who watch. That
Isn't that interesting? Sorry to interject, but isn't it interesting? Because I go through the same thing in my own family. Your family knows you're doing something that's really important, and you have the public data to prove it, and they don't really give a shit.
No, they don't. They don't. I don't think my mom, if she was alive, would be watching it either. It's just so dark. It's just so dark. My mom was never like a dark person. She was the opposite.